listen, an AI system, or an NLP model in this case, is a reflection of our society. If there's bias in our society, then there will be bias in the systems. And this goes to a very slippery slope. So NLP stands for Natural Language Processing, and it's essentially a technique that dates back in the 1950s. So it's already, let's say, about 70 years old. And very high level speaking, what NLP is all about is the ability for a device, for example, a computer, a laptop, a mobile phone, to capture human language, process that, and then when required, take an action. Now, the most well-known example, I guess, for most people in our society are voice assistants like Siri, Google, Alexa. You just say, "Hey Siri," you ask a question, and hopefully you get a sensible answer back. NLP is also a subdomain of machine learning, and it's a subdomain that has gained interest over the last few years, in particular last year, because we are now in an era where we have enough compute power and data that we can build better models, like for the listeners who are really into this, like BERT or GPT-2 from OpenAI. So we have much better models, we have better compute power, and we also have technology like a mobile phone who can run those NLP models. So we have seen a huge uptake in research and applicability of NLP over the last 3 to 5 years. As I said, NLP is a subdomain of machine learning, and it's a huge domain of research and development. So given that this is just a video, I cannot talk about all the details. However, we are going to publish a few blog posts on more the details and the intricacies of NLP, so stay tuned on that. But what I want to do in this video is I want to touch on the core of NLP. What is the problem that NLP tries to solve? Because I said it's the capability to take human language and do something with it. But if you look at human language and you look at it from a linguistic point of view, essentially there are more, but the core 3 layers are syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. So syntax is, as we all know, like the grammar rules of a language. So for example, in English, if you have a noun and you add an S to it, most of the time, exceptions, it will lead to the plural form. Okay, so that's pretty basic. But then you come into the semantics. Semantics is the meaning of the word or the sentence in a literal meaning, the literal meaning of it. And pragmatics is the meaning of the words in a certain context or within the context. So let me give an example to make the latter to semantics and pragmatics clear, because there's a little bit of an abstract concept. If I say, "I'm so hungry, I can eat a horse," semantically speaking, it means I'm really hungry, I literally can eat a horse. However, pragmatically speaking, it's considered, oh, that's a metaphor, that's an expression like, I'm hungry, I can really eat something now. Okay? So that's the core of NLP. Now, what the real challenge of NLP is to go from syntax to semantics to pragmatics. So we are pretty okay with syntax now, we are okay with semantics. So as I said, the models have gone a long way. However, there's still a lot to do in the field of pragmatics. To give you an example, if I ask Siri, what is the meaning of life? I may get back 42, which is a nod to the Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy, a famous book where this question is being posed and the answer is 42. Or I may get the first Wikipedia entry that talks about life, or I may get a biological explanation of life. None of those answers are right or wrong, but what I find more interesting is what does the requester really want with this question. So for example, if you're depressed and you ask like, yeah, what's the meaning of life anyway? Depending on the utterance, it essentially may mean a call for help. Okay, so semantically it's like, okay, the meaning of life, well here's an answer, 42. Next question, please. Well, in reality, pragmatically, this person is looking for help. So I think the real key for a NLP system, which is a part of machine learning, which is part of the whole artificial intelligence, is like, can we build systems that pick up on the intonation, the utterance, the emotions of people to really understand what is behind the question, so to speak. And in that regard, as I said, NLP has gone a long way, but in my view, still has quite a way to go. Well, many different examples. So as I alluded to earlier, the voice assistants are probably the most well-known. But think about automatic text summarization. So, for example, in the industries that are text-heavy, like legal or healthcare, an NLP model can process all that information, can process all the documents and come up with an automatic generated summary. An interesting fact that a lot of people may not know is that a lot of sports events are being summarized now by NLP systems, for example. Automatic captioning of videos on YouTube. If you're in the social media marketing, then sentiment analysis, like if there is a comment being made on a review in a restaurant, is it a bad or a good experience? And so this is being done by NLP systems. And then as a final one, the dreaded chatbots on a website or when you call your bank or whatever. I mean, it goes to show that those chatbots still have a long way to go, because I don't know what your experience is. My experience, I ask one question and 9 out of 10 I get a ridiculous answer and I press 0 or I immediately call for agent. And that's because they're just scratching the surface. They're getting better, but they're definitely not there that you can have a fluent conversation, although there are systems out there that are doing a pretty good job. For example, Google issued a system, I forgot the name, that can make automatic reservations. So they call a restaurant and the restaurant owner, you really think you're talking to a human being. And now it comes into the more the ethical side of the house, like, do you need to reveal that you're going to speak to an AI system, yes or no? But that's a completely different discussion. So anyway, those are a few examples. So even in businesses, text summarization, sentiment analysis, it could be areas of interest. It certainly can, and it certainly has. So to give you an example, in 2016, Microsoft released a chatbot called Tai. And it was via Twitter. So the idea was, like, this is a chatbot that's going to interact on Twitter automatically. Now, it turned out that this chatbot within 16 hours turned into a racist chatbot. And the reason is that it was fed with tweets from people, because people got to know, like, hey, this is your chatbot, so let's take a go with it. So they were feeding stuff. Hitler was a good guy. There was no such thing as a Holocaust. So within 16 hours it became racist, bigotry, so Microsoft had to take it offline. So now to be clear, first of all, this was not the intention of Microsoft, okay? This is just a system gone wrong, didn't realize that this can happen, so they took the responsibility, they took it off, they replaced it with a new chatbot, which is much better. But the fact that this can happen. Another one is what I call bias transfer in translation. Now, so it's a mouthful of words. What does that mean? If you take Turkish as a language, Turkish has no male-female distinction like English. So, for example, if you say she is a doctor or he is a doctor in English and you translate it in Turkish, you get o bir doktor. Okay, fine, that's supposed to be the case. However, depending on the translation engine you use, if you translate it back, you may get he is a doctor. So the question is, why is it he is a doctor? Why not she is a doctor? Or why not he/she is a doctor? So people start to take notice. And Google Translate used to do this, like he is a doctor. It has changed, and it changes it now to he or she is a doctor. So the core of the issue is this. In our society, we are biased by definitions because we are humans. It's true that statistically speaking, there are more male doctors than there are more than female doctors, and there are more female nurses than there are more male nurses. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take that bias into your data and use it in your AI system. On the one hand, that's one school of thought. One school of thought is like, listen, an AI system, or an NLP model in this case, is a reflection of our society. If there's bias in our society, then there will be bias in the systems. And this goes to a very slippery slope. There's another group that says, no, we have an opportunity as a society to make things right. So you see another trend in the AI world now, that people are starting to speak up and say, listen, this is not right. We have to change the training set. Okay, so instead of he is a doctor, it has to have he and she is a doctor. So we have to start changing the training set that is a better reflection of gender neutral. Okay, so not statistically it's a man or a woman. So this is more of an ethical debate, I would say, but if you don't take care of that, then this is what you get. On the other hand, which is the flip side, there are also NLP systems out there, GPT-2, the latest version, that are so good. GPT-2 is a text generating model, and those models are so good that the text that's being generated is very, very hard to distinguish from human generated text. Now, where does this go? With every technology, it can be used for good or bad. So the fear is a little bit, although it hasn't really been considered yet, that this can be used to generate fake news. Now, if you look at elections coming, not only in the US but in Canada, that's the fear. Like people are enticed to, for clickbait headlines, don't really do their due diligence. So there's a fear there, like, okay, can it also be used for bad? Which brings me to the final remark, which is that when we build artificial intelligence systems, and NLP systems is a subset of that, as I explained, we have to make sure that they can be trusted. So the whole trust in AI and responsibility of AI systems is becoming center stage in the whole AI development. And again, NLP models being one of them, we have to look at NLP models and cross the T's and dot the I's, like have we done our due diligence in terms of bias, in terms of whatever it is, before we release an NLP model to the market, whether it's for consumers or for business or government use.